Number 5. Charles Shay. This man once ran through gunfire to save strangers. Today he walks the same ground in silence, remembering every step. In 1944, Charles Shay was just a young man, barely prepared for what he was about to face. As a combat medic during D-Day, he landed on Omaha Beach, one of the deadliest places on Earth at that moment. The sound of machine guns echoed across the water, bullets striking the surface around him as soldiers fell, before they could even stand. But Shay didn't hesitate. He moved forward into the freezing ocean, dragging wounded soldiers back to safety. One by one, the water around him turned red, the cries for help never stopping. Every decision he made was a risk. Every second he stayed alive was a miracle. He wasn't carrying a weapon, he was carrying responsibility. Through chaos, smoke, and constant danger, he continued rescuing men who couldn't move, who couldn't fight anymore. He became their last hope in a place where hope barely existed. The war ended. The noise faded. But those moments stayed with him. Years passed. The world rebuilt. Cities changed. Generations moved forward. But Charles Shay never forgot that beach. Today, in his 90s, he returns to Normandy, not as a soldier, not as a medic, but as a witness to history. He walks slowly now. No gunfire, no explosions, just the sound of waves hitting the shore. But in his mind, that beach is still alive. 4. Sidney Walton. He was just a teenager when he stepped into war. Today, he spends his life making sure the world never forgets what he saw. Sidney Walton joined the military at the age of 16. At a time when most people today are still in school, he was preparing for something much bigger, something far more serious than he could fully understand. Training was intense, discipline was strict, and the reality of war slowly started to reveal itself. He wasn't fighting for fame. He wasn't fighting for recognition. He was simply one of millions, doing what he believed was necessary. During the war, every day brought uncertainty. Soldiers lived with constant tension, never knowing what the next moment would bring. The environment was unpredictable, and survival was never guaranteed. For someone so young, it changed everything. The war eventually ended, but for Sidney, the story didn't stop there. Instead of leaving it behind, he chose to carry it forward. Now over 100 years old, Sidney Walton has traveled across the United States, visiting all 50 states, speaking to students, communities, and anyone willing to listen. He tells them what war was really like, not the movies, not the stories, but the truth. He no longer wears a uniform, but he still serves a purpose, and that purpose is memory. Number 3. Bill White. He once stood on a warship surrounded by explosions. Today, he stands surrounded by memories that never fully fade. During World War II, Bill White served as a sailor in the Pacific, taking part in the Battle of the Coral Sea, one of the first major naval battles fought entirely by aircraft carriers. Out at sea, there was no escape. The horizon looked endless, but danger could come from anywhere. Enemy planes appeared without warning, diving from the sky with bombs and gunfire. The sound of engines above often meant seconds to react. Bill stood on deck as a young man, fully aware that one direct hit could end everything. Ships burned, water filled with debris. The ocean, once calm, became a battlefield. There were no safe zones, no second chances. Every moment required focus, discipline, and courage. The war moved on. Battles ended, time passed, and eventually, silence returned. Today, Bill White has lived over 100 years. He no longer stands on a warship. He stands as a memory of one. His body has aged, slowed by time, but his experiences remain sharp, untouched by years. The ocean that once threatened his life now exists only in his thoughts. 2. Hershel Woodrow Williams. He once walked into enemy fire when others could not. Today, he stands as one of the strongest symbols of courage from World War II. Hershel Woody Williams was a U.S. Marine during the Battle of Iwo Jima, one of the most intense and brutal battles of the war. The battlefield was unforgiving. Enemy positions were hidden. Every movement was dangerous, and advancing even a few meters could cost lives. But Williams kept moving forward. Armed with a flamethrower, he approached enemy bunkers, one of the most dangerous tasks imaginable. It required him to get close, exposing himself completely to enemy fire. Still, he didn't stop. Step by step, bunker by bunker, he pushed forward, clearing positions and protecting his fellow Marines. At such a young age, he faced fear in its rawest form and chose to move through it. For his actions, he received the Medal of Honor. But what makes his story powerful is not just what he did in war, it's what he did after. In his later years, Hershel Williams dedicated his life to honoring fallen soldiers and supporting their families. He became a voice for those who could no longer speak. The battlefield shaped him, but it did not define his end. Number 1, Harold Terens. He once lived in a world at war. Today, he lives in a world that barely remembers it. Harold Terens served in the U.S. Army Air Forces during World War II. As a young man, he was part of a system that operated under constant pressure, supporting missions that carried serious risk. Every flight, every operation, every decision mattered. The sky was not peaceful. It was filled with tension, uncertainty, and responsibility. Young men like Harold didn't have the luxury of hesitation. They had to trust their training, trust their team, and move forward. And somehow, he made it through. The war ended, life continued, but time never stops. Today, Harold Terens is over 100 years old. He represents something rare, something almost gone, a living connection to a time that shaped the modern world. From a young man surrounded by war to an old man surrounded by peace, his life shows the full journey of time. When you look at these faces, then and now, you are not just seeing people grow old. You are seeing history living inside them. At 18, they carried weapons, fear, and responsibility. At 100, they carry memories, silence, and reflection. The war ended decades ago, but for them, it never truly ended, because some battles are not fought on land, they are carried in the mind for a lifetime.